Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Corey, and if you're new here, hi, so glad you found us.
And I'm Charon. Welcome to the channel.
Okay, so today we're tackling something that sounds super simple, but is actually way harder than people expect.
Introducing yourself.
Exactly. Like, you'd think it's easy, right? You just say your name and done. But no.
It is surprisingly nuanced. There's so much more going on when you introduce yourself in English than just stating your name.
And we've both been in so many situations, job interviews, first days, networking events, parties, where this comes up and people just freeze. Even native speakers, honestly.
So today, we're going to have a real conversation about it. Not a grammar lesson, not a list of phrases, just us talking through what actually works and what doesn't.
Let's get into it.
Basics. What do you actually say first?
Okay, let's start from the very beginning. You walk into a room, someone puts out their hand. What do you say?
Well, the obvious answer is your name. Hi, I'm Charon. Full stop.
Right. And it sounds simple, but there are already two versions of that, aren't there? I'm Corey versus my name is Corey.
Yes, and they do feel different. My name is Corey sounds a bit more formal.
Whereas I'm core is just natural, casual. You'd say that at a party, meeting of friends.
Exactly. Register matters a lot in English. The same information can be delivered in ways that feel very different depending on the situation.
And then there's the whole, do you shake hands? Do you wave? Do you just smile? That's more cultural than language, I guess.
It is, though language and culture are always tangled up together. In the UK, a handshake is still quite standard in professional settings, but socially it's gotten more relaxed. Sometimes it's just a nod.
In the US, it's similar. Like at work, yes, handshake. But at a casual hangout, you might just go, hey, and that's the whole introduction.
Right. And sometimes, especially in groups, you just sort of announce yourself to the room. Hey everyone, I'm Charon. And people nod.
And then they immediately forget your name.
Without fail, every single time.
Which brings me to a real tip. Say your name twice if it's uncommon. Like, I'm Core, Kore. I always do that because otherwise people hear Cora or Corey, and then I'm correcting them all night.
That's genuinely useful. I do the same with Sharon sometimes. People sometimes say Sharon.
Oh, like the name?
Yes, Sharon with an S.
Wait, your parents named you after the ferryman of the dead?
My parents had a very particular sense of humor, yes.
Okay, that's iconic. See, this is already an interesting self-introduction, just from your name alone. Which brings me to the next part.
What comes after your name? So after you say your name, what do you add? Because just, hi, I'm Karen, and then silence is uncomfortable.
Super awkward. You need something else, and the classic go-to is where you're from.
I'm from London, yes. Simple, effective, opens up conversation immediately because everyone has either been there, wants to go, or has opinions about it.
Same with San Francisco. People either say, oh wow, is it really that expensive? Or do you know any tech people? Yes, the answer is yes to both.
What a city.
But here's something interesting. Where you're from can mean different things in English. There's your home country, your hometown, your current city, where you grew up.
And for a lot of people, especially immigrants or people who've moved around a lot, the question, where are you from, is actually quite complicated to answer.
Totally.
Like, I was born in San Francisco. My parents are from China. I spent summers in Hong Kong as a kid. So where am I from? It depends on who's asking and what they really want to know.
I find the question, where are you originally from, slightly better in those cases. It signals that you're curious about heritage, not just current location.
That's a good distinction. And on the receiving end, if someone asks where you're from and you have a complicated answer, it's totally fine to just pick one part and start there. You don't owe anyone your full family history in the first 30 seconds.
Precisely. I grew up in London, though I've lived all over the place since. That's enough. It's honest, it's interesting, and it invites a follow-up question if they're curious.
The follow-up question is key. A good self-introduction isn't a monologue. It's the first move in a conversation.
Very well put. You're not delivering a speech, you're opening a door.
Thanks. I'll add that to my collection.
Talking about what you do.
Okay, so name, where you're from, then the next big one, what do you do?
The classic question. So, what do you do? In English-speaking cultures, this comes up very early, sometimes immediately after the name exchange.
Which is interesting because in some cultures that's considered nosy.
In France, for example, it would be considered quite rude to ask someone's occupation straight away. You talk about other things first. Food, the city, the event you're at.
But in the US and UK, it's pretty standard because what you do is seen as a big part of who you are.
For better or worse.
Yeah, for better or worse. But anyway, how do you answer it well?
The boring answer is just a job title. I'm a software engineer. And that's fine, it's accurate, but it doesn't really open a conversation.
Right. What works better is a tiny bit of context, like not your full resume, just one sentence that adds texture.
Something like, I'm a software engineer. I work on mobile apps, mostly games. Now I know what you do, and I have something to react to.
Exactly. Or, I'm a teacher. I work with adult learners who are trying to improve their English. That immediately tells me your values, too. You care about learning, about helping people.
And if you don't have a traditional job, if you're a student, or freelance, or between things.
Totally valid. I'm studying architecture. Works fine. I do freelance design work. Works fine. I'm taking some time to figure out my next move. Also totally fine. And actually quite honest.
The English language has gotten much better at accepting non-linear career paths.
Though I'll admit, job interviews are different. There you do need a cleaner, more structured answer, but we can get into that separately.
Save it for another episode, yes.
Deal. But for everyday situations, just be genuine. Say what you actually do in a way that reflects why you do it.
I'm a nurse. I work nights, which is exhausting, but I genuinely love it. That's a fantastic introduction. You've got profession, schedule, self-awareness, and passion, all in 2 short sentences.
And now I know you. Like I actually know something real about you. That's the whole point. All right, let's do some common mistakes because we've all made them.
Oversharing. Going on too long. This is the big one.
Oh yes, you ask someone their name and suddenly they're telling you about their divorce. Like, we just met.
It comes from nerves, usually. People fill silence with information, but it makes the other person uncomfortable.
The fix is pause. Let your introduction land. Give the other person a beat to respond before you add more.
Second mistake, underselling yourself. Being so modest that you disappear.
This is more common with people who aren't native English speakers, I think. There can be cultural norms around not boasting.
Absolutely. In many Asian and European cultures, talking positively about yourself can feel arrogant. But in professional English contexts, you need to be able to say clearly what you do and why you're good at it.
It's not bragging if it's true, and it's relevant. You can be confident and still warm.
A phrase that helps, I'm quite passionate about, or I've spent a lot of time working on. These are confident, but not aggressive.
Third mistake, using filler words too much. So like I'm Corey and I like work in,
Please no.
A few fillers are fine, totally natural.
The cure for filler words is the pause. When you feel the urge to say just pause instead. A confident pause sounds better than a nervous filler.
And honestly, the more you practice introducing yourself in English, the fewer fillers you use. It becomes fluent.
Fourth mistake, not adapting to the room. Using very formal language at a casual party or being too breezy in a professional context.
Read the room. Look at how other people are talking. Match the energy.
And if you're not sure, start slightly more formal and relax as the conversation warms up. It's easier to relax than to walk back being too casual.
That's such a good rule of thumb.
What makes an introduction memorable? So we've covered the mechanics, but what makes someone truly memorable when they introduce themselves?
Ooh, good question. I think it's specificity.
Say more.
Like, I'm a teacher is fine. I teach English to adults who are learning for the first time at 60 years old is specific. It's vivid. I can picture it.
It creates an image.
And it tells me something about you that's unique, because a lot of people are teachers.
I think what makes an introduction memorable is when it answers the question, why should I care? Not in a selfish way, but in the sense that it gives me something to connect with.
A shared experience, a curiosity, something relatable. And humor can be wonderful, but use it carefully. Dry humor can land beautifully or fall completely flat, depending on the audience.
I once introduced myself at a work event with a joke, and the room just stared.
It was a great joke.
What was the joke?
I said, I'm Cora, and yes, I do know my name sounds like a character in a video game. It usually gets a laugh, but this crowd was not gaming people.
You've got to read the room, as you said.
Lesson learned. But the point stands. When you add a little personality, even just a small observation or a self-aware moment, it sticks.
And ultimately, be yourself. The best introduction is an authentic one, not polished to the point of being plastic.
People can tell when you're performing versus when you're actually present, and they're drawn to presence.
Eloquently put.
Thank you. I have my moments. Okay, so let's bring it all together.
Introducing yourself in English, it sounds simple, but there's real depth to it.
Your name, where you're from, what you do, those are the basics. But the magic is in the texture, the small details, the curiosity you show for the other person, the tiny bit of personality you let through.
And it changes depending on the situation. A job interview, a networking event, a social gathering. Same you, different framing. Practice it. Say it out loud. To yourself, to a friend, to your dog.
Your dog will never judge you. Excellent practice, audience.
And the more natural it feels, the more natural it sounds, which is, in the end, what you're going for.
We hope today's conversation gave you some real, useful things to think about and to try. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. How do you usually introduce yourself? What works for you?
Any situations where you found it particularly tricky? Tell us. We read everything.
If this episode was helpful, the like goes a long way. It really does help the channel grow.
And if you're new here, welcome. We do this regularly. Real conversations, real English for real learners.
Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We'll see you then.
Warmly, take care, everyone.
Bye.